I had to like I woke up with really like bad like bed hair, so I had to take like 10 or 15 minutes like kind of combing it down to make sure it was presentable for the stream. I don't and normally like it's not that bad. It's kind of weird. How is it? There we go. Nice and neat. Nice and tidy. Look at that. So I had this kind of like brainwave last night. It actually came to me in a dream, the idea behind this deck. If I run many elusive cards, they won't be able to block me. And so here is the deck that I built with my boy Manus, who is actually playing in the EU version of this. This version is actually like, I think one card off of what he ended up playing. But it's ultimately a deck we spent many hours theory crafting last night. So yeah, it's like, the ingenious idea here is, we basically attack with these elusive units. Okay. And then, because they're elusive, the opponent won't be able to block them. And then if the opponent doesn't block them enough, we're potentially quite good. Now this is a very different form of elusives than what we might be familiar with. We've got, we're out of like, stuff like Wayfinder. We got some Plunder cards, and of course, our boy Starlit Seer. Can this kill the annoying burn deck? Yes. I think it ends up in its current form being slightly favored versus burn, although it might need one or two tech cards. The biggest thing is Lifeblade. If you get a buffed Lifeblade on the board, they basically can't win. Is Zed actually optimal in this list? I personally like it, yeah. So we've got Elise, Thresh, Tryndamere, and it's 3 Elise, 2 Thresh, 1 Tryndamere, left to right. Which means it's going to be the pretty standard They Who Endure list. They Who Endure is, well, I say standard, but I've been kind of liking the only Elise Allegiance version recently. I think with They Who Endure, you kind of want to be somewhat racing them down, and Fury of the North is probably not going to be as valuable early, because they usually don't threaten your units during the swing with just like straight up damage. Actually, man, with Greenglade being unbuffed, you know what? I'll keep Fury in the Sand. I'll keep Fury in the Sand, just because Greenglade is in my hand and it's unbuffed, and I don't want to mulligan it. Because even though Shadow Walls doesn't do a lot, they do a lot of 1 damage sources. And there's a good consideration that like he'll go in for a whale on a duo in like 5 turns. And if that were to happen, I would definitely want to be able to protect its very delicate 1 health body. Do you think this deck is better than Kinko Elusives? Yes. I think that Kinko is... I think that now there's enough good Freljord tools that Kinko isn't worth being in anymore, basically. To be perfectly honest, I think even before the changes, I think this deck was almost at that point. Almost. I was already almost wanting to cut Kinko, but I mean, obviously, it's just not quite there. Big Zed with Omen Hawk, make big Greenglade duo. As much as I'd like to do something with shared spoils, it's kind of like, you're a little locked into playing your huge dude here. I hope he doesn't have a Vile Feast, that would slow me down quite a bit. Great. So, I mean, we'll kind of swing our dick here, and usually this kind of puts on a lot of early pressure. Now, the downside with Zed in these styles of decks is, of course, that he kind of activates a lot of opponents' chump blockers, but he's a pretty good race card, and, you know, he will end up getting some damage through. He's just too valuable of a buff target to not run, I think. We can also do a job of threatening the Elise here as well, which I think is valuable enough. I don't really mind if he's going to threaten the Zed. I probably wouldn't, like, resecure with Fury, honestly. So, likely, this is, like, just... he's very happy setting up for something like a Withering Whale. And Lifeblade plus Fury is going to be like a good racing card as well. I think in this case, I can't really Omen Hawk. I'd like the Starlit Seer. And if he's happy taking a Withering Whale right now, we're good. I think a good player would have to Withering Whale now. Using it any later than this is just kind of trolly. If you try to use it later than this, like, first of all, it's mostly about deny, I guess. But I think this is fine here just because of our hand. And yeah, buffed Lifeblade is just this pretty neat thing. So yeah, this deck plays pretty slow. Grasp is kind of the scare card here, but he doesn't have it, which is very nice. Grasp would, you know, kill my large important dude and also stop my Plunder from going off. Oh! we're good. So obviously we have attack on odds, so it means we're gonna have a pretty good swing into 7. The question is, how many of these decks are running Ruination? When you look at Freljord, Shadow Elves, Elise, Thresh, Tryndamere, how many of this concept runs Ruination? Theory of the North looks pretty premium here. It looks pretty locked in, loaded. At 6 mana, he can't really do a ton against this like large 7/7 lifesteal unit. And I don't think we're really getting better value out of this. So this is a really good racing deck, basically. That's part of the benefit of Kinko, which is that you can just race things down. Yeah, Glimpse is probably his best answer. And that's not bad. I mean, he has to lose the unit anyway. But yeah, Glimpse is definitely the best counter he can make to this Fury, which I'm pretty fine with. Like, we maintain our elusive card. We're kind of going to slap him this turn. Maybe a 1-of. Well, he's tapped under Ruination anyway. So it's like, we're in this fascinating scenario where we have a lot of like large buffed elusives, and now this is where the elusive brain really needs to activate. This is where you really need to start doing math, okay? So it's like Windfarer gives other allies +2. Now it's got 6. It'll buff this to 5, but 6 plus 5 won't actually equal 12. We're gonna be short of our lethal potential here, right? And because we're gonna be a little short of our lethal potential, it's gotta be a better idea to slow play this. Slow play, basically all that means is you're extending out an extra turn. You're looking at the clock, because you should always be thinking about late game's clock. You should always be thinking about late game spots as a function of clock. You just plan out, am I gonna try to kill them one turn earlier, or am I gonna try to stall them one turn later to give me one extra turn to potentially kill them? And you should always be thinking in that way. So basically in this case, because we can't threaten him this turn, we slow play this and try to make sure that we are making it as low likely as possible that he could kill us in his next turn, right? That's kind of the most important thing. And we're also, you know, we're not really worried about being pushed ourselves out of lethal range, because we're, you know, as the big brain elusive player that we are, we're thinking ahead. We're like, okay, what are we gonna do on turn 8? Well, I'll play an elusive. And then it's like, what are we gonna play on turn 9? Well, I'll play an elusive. And that's why you have to really think ahead as like the elusive player. You can't just be like, you know, not having a plan. You always have to have a plan, man. And this is actually a rare spot where this deck plays a non-elusive unit. So that's also a consideration that sometimes you'll have to make. Like I said, this deck isn't for the faint of heart. You really do have to think about your plays. Really calculate it all out. So going down to 1. Honestly, we're not too worried about this guy's reach. I think that the odds of him having Ruination are extremely low, to the point where I'm basically willing to just like auto-fold against it. And I think keeping up the Elixir of Iron could accelerate a clock. So basically, this time we're going to go for a clock acceleration. This time, we're going to look at this situation and say, okay, I'm going to increase my likelihood as much as possible of killing him next turn. Which basically, what that play means is keeping Elixir in my hand instead of using it here, right? At 5, we're pretty, like, out of ranges, mostly Atrocity. You'll notice Atrocity can only do 4 damage on this board. So what could he do, like, develop into Atrocity? He's going to have 9 plus 2 for 11, so developing a 5 into an Atrocity. Does he have a 5-mana card that could actually threaten 5 attack in this deck? I think he actually doesn't. I think there's not a single card in the deck that has 5 mana for 5 attack. Because, of course, he'll have 11 mana, so staying at 5 means we put ourselves in Atrocity plus 5 mana card range. I guess it would involve one more Mistwraith, right? Yeah, I guess, like, if he has one more Mistwraith card. We're kind of allowing ourselves, like, some potential to lose to that, which is probably a little unnecessary here. So, in this case, we'll play this elusive. And, of course, we've been planning ahead this entire time. Scuttle. This version shouldn't really be running Scuttle, and honestly, most versions, you don't expect it. But, yeah, sometimes you'll see a Scuttle. And like I said, I'm prepared to fold against Ruination. He's not representing that he has it at all. The fact that he didn't even think about the Mistwraith 2 turns ago means he didn't have it in that hands. Pretty much. This deck probably doesn't even run it, and if it does run it, it's a 1-of that he probably wasn't going to draw. I'm willing to fold against it. So now that we've kind of like, we've planned it all out, right? It's like, we planned out turn 8, play an elusive. We planned out turn 9, play an elusive. And then our final play here is to attack with both Elusives. Actually, we've got a third Elusive too. So we can breed like a Grasp Vile Feast or something. Double Grasp, wow. Ooh, Grasp Atrocity. Grasp Atrocity is pretty spooky. That's a total of 7, right? So we actually don't have the range to get out of that with Elixir of Iron. That's pretty nice. So we're gonna have to kind of resort to stalling this out one extra turn as well. And just double checking my math here. Okay, looks like he's good. Yeah, it's pretty sad for me. He took a very good play there, by the way. He's playing around Elixir of Iron. That's kind of something that any good player would do in that situation. This is pretty much like, that's one of the most important things to do. Just like, make sure you're playing around everything you can. Another Wraith Caller. Well, we're outside of Atrocity range here because, of course, you know, we do have the big Elusives. We've got like a little bit of lifesteal. We've got one extra sized Elusive here, like a plus sized Elusive. 16. 16. Man, these fearsomes are actually a little trolly. This is good positioning too. Putting his thing that could be blocked by the Lifeblade on the right side is kind of what he has to do. So, I mean, minusing 6 here is a little tricky because our Lifeblade is unfortunately the unbuffed one. I mean, it looks like there's no way to actually survive this without losing all units, right? -1. So you'd have to use an elixir here, basically. That's the only way to survive this. So going down to 1, keeping the hatchling. Yeah, I think like saving the elixir is kind of worth it here. And the fact that he's tapped out makes him a little bit vulnerable. So yeah, we can do it like this. Okay. So we go down to 1 and then we lifesteal up to 3. The difference between 1 and 3 is pretty irrelevant here. But now we've got this nice unblockable unit. So we're losing to a couple things, but we can make ourselves not lose to... What do we actually beat by playing this hatchling? I think there's even less that we lose to. We're beating like... What actually do we beat by playing this hatchling? Grasp? Yeah, Vengeance or Grasp. Those are 2 things. Okay, so we played our Elusive on turn 11. I hope you guys are taking notes. Because it was all... This game was won off of the back of some very significant planning ahead and calculations. We had to know that we were going to play the Elusive on turn 7, on turn 8, and on turn 11. Okay? And if at any point, oh, he did, oh, the hair, fuck! Oh, no. Oh, god damn it.